Howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast 172. Hey, thanks for taking time of your week. Give things a listen. I really hope it helps move your photography forward. Also want to thank all of you who have been so tirelessly promoting the Moose Podcast. Hey, it makes a difference. We keep inching up, and I am really grateful. Also want to thank my good friends at Bedford's Camera, bedfords.com. You know, they've been servicing the industry for a long time. They've got 7 stores, so you can walk in, you can call, or you can go to that website. Make sure when you check out, you get the extra 5% off by putting in Moose in that discount box, MOOSE. You'll save 5%, free shipping over $199, and of course, a lot of states, no sales tax. And their PhotoCon is coming up. It's a great event. I've been there. I've spoke there. It's a marvelous gathering of talent, of gear, and inspiration. So make sure you check out their PhotoCon on their website, bedfords.com. Hey, let's get right into this week's topic, OnDemand. I've had some really interesting emails of late. I mean, they've really had me scratching my head. Even had me go back to the old filing cabinet, looking at letters I used to send off to photographers back in the day. Yeah, when I started out, there was no email or chat board. You actually had to get a piece of paper, put it in a typewriter, and send it off and hope you got a response. Anyway, these questions, well, they have me really scratching my head. And then the other night I was looking for a documentary, and I hit the wrong button on the remote for the cable. And boom, this screen came up and said, OnDemand. And I said, that's it. That's what some of these photographers are looking for. They want to take their pictures on demand, as in, just because I show up, everything's supposed to happen, like on demand. As in, give me a list of where you went and shot those things, the exact location. Actually, give me the latitude, and I'm going to go there and get that same picture. Now, you might be saying, really? But I actually had an email with a person asking if I used GPS and if I could send them the lat and long for this shot I took, because they want to go there and take the same shot of the same critter. And I wasn't really sure how to respond to that. It's a great compliment as far as I'm concerned. He really likes my photograph enough. He wants to go take it himself. But then there's the actual, it's going to sound bad, but the sheer stupidity to think that because I went to that location and was fortunate enough to get that photograph for that critter, that if they went to that exact same spot, they could get the same photograph, as if the critters on demand are going to show up and strike the pose, and if the photo gods are going to sit there and give you the exact same light, and you're going to get the same photograph. It kind of reminded me back in the days, and we're going way back when, probably late 70s, early 80s, where there's this big thing about, writing captions for your photographs in magazines, and you would include your f-stop and shutter speed. Now, 2 things had to occur to make that happen. One, when you're out there shooting, you actually sat there and wrote down the roll number, the slide number, the f-stop and shutter speed in a notebook, and then you kept all that information, and when you got the slides back, you actually wrote that on the slide mount, so you could actually be accurate about that. And I can tell you that after a while, I said, yeah, no, I'm not. That's just way too much note-taking, because there was no EXIF data when we shot slide film. And 2, you had to assume that that f-stop and shutter speed, that was going to be the carved in stone perfect exposure for that scene every time, which of course it's not. And even more important to that whole thing was the fact that just because I sat there and liked those numbers doesn't mean that you're going to like those numbers. It doesn't work that way. It's different. So here's the thing. On demand. I'm sure it's part of the way that we are slowly becoming programmed by all our devices. That you can just go boom, and you have things on demand. Simple things like airline tickets. I mean, I remember back in the old days, you actually called up a travel agent and you said what you want to do, and they would call you back or fax you. Fax, yeah, an old system. The possibilities, and then you'd say, okay, I want this and this, and then they'd book the tickets, and then you get this very hard cardboard paper tickets in the mail for your flights. And now you just click a couple things on an iPhone app, and boom, you have your airline tickets booked. It's on demand. Your music, your movies, everything on demand. But the one thing that, in fact, you can order camera gear, right, on demand, and boom, have it the next day. In some places, have it the same day on demand. But that's not how photography should work, does work, needs to work, should work in the future. The whole precept behind photography is the recording of memories, right? I mean, whatever the memory might be it a personal one, a social one, environmental, sports, whatever, it is a moment in time being preserved by the click of a camera. You can plan to do something that you hope will create memories, but there's absolutely no guarantees. There's no way that you can book a trip to your favorite locale and expect that just because you've done that on demand, that locale is going to perform. Used to be back in the old days, I would sit there and start my presentations about being skunked. And I'd be talking about critters, and as soon as I said the word skunk, people would think about, some little critter coming up and turning around and holding his tail up and spraying me. And I actually was not talking about that, but the old saying of being skunked as in coming back with nothing, zero. Now, I have gotten better at going to a location and coming back with images. But some friends would tell you about a trip that we took in, I think it was 2018, maybe it was 2019, going after some great gray owls in Oregon. And we spent a week and we were literally skunked, as in we didn't even see an elk pellet, let alone an actual great gray owl in that forest. Now, we didn't get skunked photographically. We found other things to photograph. We had a really great, like pygmy nuthatch nest and stuff like that to photograph. But the thing we were going after, the great gray owl, we got zippo, none. So just because I show up or they show up doesn't mean there's going to be a photograph. There's nothing about photography that's on demand. The number of examples of times going out where it didn't happen would definitely outweigh the times it did happen. Now, here's, the point. Does this mean that as a photographer you're a failure? Does this mean that you're not worthy? Does it mean that you need to find something else? No. The one email I got was a person who was very much, to some of us, wanting photography on demand, was going to, completely change camera systems because that was going to solve the problems. I mean, it's a long email. I've got Canon. I'm going to switch to Nikon. And I'm switching to Nikon because I'm not getting the results I want. And the results he was getting was not, he couldn't see a picture, or it was out of focus, or it was exposure issue. He says he wasn't getting the pictures at all. And I'm like, well, if you go to Alaska in June, you won't see snow. Okay? If you go to Hawaii, in December, you might not see all those beautiful flowers. It's like everything was goofed up. And that's not the solution. And this kind of on-demand programming that we are slowly having instilled in us needs to not filter into our photography. I just came back from 2 really great weeks up on the Oregon-Washington coast. And the whole goal was to get those big, beautiful waves on a really moody, kind of beach or cliff or with a lighthouse, any of those kind of things, something that would really like sing out. And after 2 weeks of shooting, I had one morning where I got the monstrous waves. And other than that, the other 2 weeks, other days, I didn't see monster waves. We had some beautiful waves. We had some amazing moody weather, had really great photography. But, the goal, that giant wave like you see sometimes at Shore Acres or Cape Disappointment where we found them the one morning, having that every day didn't happen. It just between the tides, the winds, they just didn't come together to make it happen. Now, switching camera brands ain't going to change that. Going to becoming a painter or knitting ain't going to make that happen. So why are we expecting that much of our photography? Even to the point where this on-demand mentality, people think that you put the camera to your eye and you go click and you have that perfect picture. That ain't going to happen. Like everything else, there's some, effort, some time, some education, some emotion, some passion that all has to be put into that process to make that photograph happen. It just doesn't happen on demand. So while everything we've got going from, refrigerators and washers to houses to phones, everything's, on demand, click and things happen. Photography is one thing where you're not going to have a Bluetooth, solution that says, boom, instant great photographs, and you've got them. It's just not going to be. And it's not supposed to be that way. It's a craft, okay? It's a lifelong passion. So give yourself that extra time, take a deep breath, and realize that photography is not an on-demand kind of presentation. So I'm up in Yellowstone in the backcountry. Again, a spectacular, gorgeous place to be. One of the amazing things about it is how quiet it is. And yeah, there's been some quiet times where we've not seen the critters we'd like. It has changed in the last 3 decades. It's just, not the same, but it's still gorgeous, spectacular. And, to the point of this podcast, hey, nature's not on demand. Photography's not on demand. So don't think that's going to happen for you. Take a deep breath. Realize that it's you're fortunate to be out there shooting, and make the most of what you've had. You will come back with that great image. Because remember, every time you go click, you want to make that your story.